Have you ever wondered what happens to a man who spent his whole life on America's TV screens only to suddenly disappear from the spotlight? Tom Selleck, the name that became a household legend through Magnum P.I. and Blue Bloods, has left fans asking one haunting question: what really happened to him? This isn't just a story, it's a mystery slowly unfolding. Once, Tom's smile could light up every living room, and now there's only silence. Hollywood insiders whisper one thing, while fans believe another. Each new rumor adds a twist, but the real truth remains hidden somewhere behind the scenes, waiting to be revealed. So what did happen to Tom Selleck? Was it his own choice to step away, or did the world simply move on without him? Stay with us, because what comes next might just reveal the truth Hollywood doesn't want you to hear. From ordinary beginnings to television royalty. Before the fame, before the mustache became a symbol recognized around the world, Tom Selleck was just a boy growing up in Detroit with dreams bigger than his small world. Born on January 29, 1945, Tom's life was ordinary in the sense that he didn't have the glitz or glamour that Hollywood often demands. His father was a business executive, and his mother dedicated herself to running the household. They taught him the value of hard work, discipline, and integrity, lessons that would quietly shape every decision he made later. Fame at that point was something he could hardly imagine. As a young man, Tom's first love wasn't acting, it was basketball. He spent hours on the court, dreaming of making it to the professional leagues. His skills earned him a scholarship to the University of Southern California, where he juggled business studies and rigorous basketball practices. Acting seemed like a distant fantasy, something for others, not for a practical, goal-oriented young man like him. But life, as it often does, has a way of nudging people onto paths they never expected. A drama coach at USC noticed Tom's presence, the quiet confidence, the way he carried himself, and suggested he give acting a try. It was a simple suggestion, almost casual, but it planted a seed. Soon, Tom found himself in commercials during the 1960s, including a Pepsi ad that introduced him to the national audience for the first time. These small roles were stepping stones, yet the path was far from smooth. Hollywood proved to be a place of relentless rejection. Tom was dropped from over 6 television pilots before Magnum P.I even came along. He wasn't the typical boy next door, nor the conventional action hero. He existed somewhere in between, a combination that left casting directors unsure how to use him. Then, everything changed in 1980. Magnum P.I debuted on television, and Tom Selleck became an instant sensation. His character, Thomas Magnum, was more than just a private investigator. He was the man audiences could root for, charming, witty, yet morally grounded. The Hawaiian shirts, the mustache, and the laid-back confidence made him memorable, but it was his quiet strength and relatable nature that captured hearts. Viewers felt a connection with him, as if he were someone they could trust, someone who brought honesty and warmth to their screens. The show ran for 8 remarkable years, solidifying Tom's place in television history. He won an Emmy, became a fashion icon, and redefined what it meant to be a leading man in the 1980s. But behind the fame and the accolades, there was a cost. Long hours, immense pressure, and the beginning of a public life that would demand more than most people could imagine. What seemed like a dream on the surface was also a trial, shaping Tom into a man who would one day understand that true success isn't measured by awards or popularity, but by staying true to yourself, even when the world expects otherwise. Behind the fame, the price he paid. Hollywood has a way of giving you everything you dream of and taking it all back just as quickly. For Tom Selleck, the fame that came with Magnum P.I was both a blessing and a burden. On the surface, it looked like he had it all. Millions of fans, critical acclaim, a hit show, and the kind of recognition most actors can only imagine. Yet, behind the smiles, the casual charm, and the perfectly timed one-liners, there was another story, a man quietly struggling to stay connected to himself while the world projected an image of effortless success. During the years of Magnum P.I., Tom's schedule was grueling. He routinely worked 16-hour days under the tropical Hawaiian sun, filming scenes that required energy, precision, and constant alertness. The heat, the humidity, and the long hours took a toll on his body, while the emotional weight of performing day after day chipped away at his spirit. Away from the cameras, away from the fans cheering for Thomas Magnum, Tom often felt isolated. Family gatherings were missed, friends' invitations declined, and personal moments sacrificed in the name of a career. He smiled, joked, and posed for interviews, but internally, he was questioning the cost of this fame. At one point, Tom admitted he began to lose touch with the person he really was. The world only saw Thomas Magnum as confident, charismatic, and seemingly untouchable. But no one saw the man behind the mustache, the one who craved privacy, peace, and the quiet joys of everyday life. Despite the glamour surrounding him, there was an emptiness, a sense that he was performing not just for the camera, but for the world's expectations, leaving his own heart in the background. Every award, every magazine cover, every fan letter came with a price: his personal freedom and a sense of belonging outside of Hollywood's glare. Then, in 1987, at the very peak of his fame, Tom made a move that shocked many. He stepped away. He left behind the bustling studios, the television sets, and the relentless spotlight to purchase a 65-acre ranch in Ventura County, California. To outsiders, it seemed like a drastic retreat, a gamble that could have ended his career permanently. But for Tom, it wasn't about career strategy. It was about survival. The ranch became his sanctuary, a place where he could reconnect with himself and the people who mattered most. Life on the ranch was radically different. He rose with the sun, tended to the land, and learned the rhythms of nature that had nothing to do with scripts or ratings. Horses became companions, the earth became a teacher, and simple tasks, planting trees, repairing fences, or watching sunsets, brought a fulfillment that no Emmy or fan applause ever could. In the quiet, he discovered the kind of stillness that fame can never buy, a deep satisfaction that wasn't tied to success, money, or celebrity. Yet even as he embraced this quieter life, Hollywood didn't let him disappear so easily. Rumors spread like wildfire. Is Tom Selleck ill? Has he retired for good? Tabloids speculated about health problems, mental breakdowns, or secret feuds with studios. In truth, Tom was doing nothing more dramatic than reclaiming his life on his own terms. He was choosing the rare luxury of space, something most actors never get by stepping back. He wasn't losing fame. He was gaining freedom and learning that sometimes the greatest triumph is the ability to say no to everything the world expects and yes to the life you truly want. Love, loyalty, and family values. If there's one part of Tom Selleck's life that he's guarded more fiercely than any role or award, it's his family. Long before the cameras rolled or the Emmy speeches were given, Tom had a vision of a life rooted in loyalty, love, and meaningful connection. In the early 1980s, he met Gilly Mack, a British actress and dancer, when Hollywood was filled with fleeting relationships and public romances that rarely lasted. Their connection was different, quiet, steady, and grounded in mutual respect. By 1987, they decided to marry, but not in the usual glamorous way. No tabloids, no paparazzi, no public spectacle. They chose a private ceremony, a promise shared only among those closest to them. Soon after, their daughter Hannah was born. The couple raised her far away from the city lights, on their Ventura County ranch, where life moved at its own pace. Hannah's childhood was one of open fields, morning horseback rides, and a rhythm dictated by nature rather than scripts and deadlines. Tom often recalls that being a husband and father brought him more pride and fulfillment than any of his television or film achievements. Unlike many stars who let work dominate every aspect of life, Tom made deliberate choices, turning down big-budget projects or lucrative offers if it meant he could spend time with Jilly and Hannah. The sacrifices were financial, but the rewards were personal. The ranch itself became a symbol of their family values. Discipline, hard work, and humility weren't just words. They were lived every day. Hannah grew up understanding responsibility, the importance of routine, and the value of dedication, especially in equestrian pursuits. Tom watched her train and grow, quietly proud of her accomplishments while staying in the background, no celebrity fanfare, just fatherly guidance and encouragement. Their home became a sanctuary where life was measured not in headlines, box office numbers, or magazine covers, but in sunrises, horses, and shared family meals. Tom's decision to live this way wasn't about running from Hollywood, it was about choosing intention over impulse. He often says, "I found that fame can be a prison, but love, that's what sets you free." Those words reflect a man who has seen both sides of the coin, the thrill of stardom and the emptiness it can leave when personal connections are sacrificed. By prioritizing family over fame, Tom discovered a freedom that no award, no contract, or no role could provide. Even today, decades later, Tom and Jilly remain on that same ranch. The world continues to change, Hollywood continues to evolve, but their life remains simple and deliberate. No sprawling mansions, no endless parties, just two people who chose quiet over chaos, presence over performance, and love over the lure of fame. This choice, rare in the glittering world of Hollywood, has defined Tom Selleck not just as a star, but as a man committed to the things that truly matter. The comeback that surprised everyone. Just when most people assumed Tom Selleck had stepped away from the world of television forever, he made a comeback that caught everyone off guard, and not in a flashy Hollywood headline kind of way. It happened quietly, almost like a whisper, in 2010, when he took on the role of Frank Reagan in the series Blue Bloods. At first, some fans were skeptical. "Has Tom really returned?" they asked. "Is he the same man who once defined television with Magnum P.I.? The answer was both yes and no, the same familiar charm, but with a depth that only years of life experience could bring. Frank Reagan, the New York police commissioner, was a character with a firm sense of morality, responsibility, and family values. In many ways, this role seemed to mirror Tom's own life outside the cameras. After decades of fame, hard work, and quiet retreat, he stepped into a part that didn't demand just acting talent. It demanded wisdom. It demanded presence, and Tom delivered. Fans immediately noticed that this wasn't just a return to television, it was a return with purpose. The show became a hit, and over the years, it ran for more than a decade, proving that his presence still had power and that his ability to connect with audiences had not faded. What made this comeback unique was not the recognition or the acclaim, but the balance Tom had achieved. He wasn't stepping back into Hollywood to chase awards or headlines. Filming Blue Bloods became just another part of his life, not the center of it. After long days on set, he returned to his Ventura County ranch, where quiet mornings with horses, open skies, and family awaited. For Tom, work and life were no longer competing forces, they coexisted in harmony. He had finally mastered a rhythm most stars spend their entire careers chasing. Co-stars and crew often describe him as the calm in the storm. On set, there was no ego, no unnecessary drama, and no sense that the camera defined his worth. He approached every scene with care, focus, and integrity, setting a tone that lifted everyone around him. Young actors often remarked on how grounded he was, how his patience and wisdom made even the most chaotic days manageable. It was a rare presence in Hollywood, a reminder that fame is fleeting, but character lasts. What many fans didn't realize was how intentional this comeback was. It wasn't about regaining the spotlight, it was about aligning with work that reflected his values: leadership, justice, and family. Frank Reagan wasn't just a role, He was a reflection of a life Tom had spent curating quietly over decades. In a sense, the show became a bridge, connecting the man people remembered from the 1980s with the man he had become, mature, thoughtful, and grounded. Even years into the series, Tom never let fame dictate his daily life. He chose roles that resonated, maintained his privacy, and prioritized the life he had built with Jilly and Hannah. The result was a rare kind of Hollywood success, one measured not in tabloid stories or red carpet appearances, but in respect, loyalty, and the knowledge that he had remained true to himself. For Tom Selleck, this comeback didn't just surprise the audience. It reminded the world that real stars shine brightest when they act from the heart, not for the spotlight. Health concerns, rumors, and the truth. In recent years, viewers of Blue Bloods have noticed subtle changes in Tom Selleck's movements, the slow and careful way he walks, or the occasional pause during intense scenes. Naturally, fans began to worry. Online, speculation ran wild. Some claimed he was battling serious health problems, like arthritis or chronic pain. Others even wondered if he might be retiring because of an illness. Rumors spread faster than facts, as they often do in Hollywood, leaving many to imagine the worst. The truth, however, is far more grounded. Tom has indeed faced age-related challenges, but nothing has stopped his dedication to work. Friends and colleagues confirm that he continues to bring his full effort to every scene, even when the physical demands become harder than before. At nearly 80 years old, Tom has earned the freedom to pace himself, yet he refuses to let age define his ability or his presence. Acting, after all, is not just a job for him, it's a passion. What makes Tom's situation remarkable is the way he handles it. Unlike many stars who feel pressured to hide the signs of aging, he embraces them. There are no attempts to pretend, no cosmetic illusions to fool the camera. He shows audiences that growing older in Hollywood doesn't have to mean fading away. In fact, he's quietly redefining what it means to age gracefully in a world obsessed with youth. Success, he proves, isn't measured by looking eternally young, but by staying authentic to yourself and your values. Even more impressive is his selective approach to projects. Over the years, he has turned down countless offers that didn't align with his principles or that would disturb his balance of work and personal life. Fame, for Tom, has never been worth sacrificing peace. His life reflects a quiet rebellion against the usual Hollywood race, a man who knows when to step back, when to preserve energy, and when to prioritize what truly matters. From a Detroit boy dreaming big to a television legend admired worldwide, Tom Selleck's story reminds us that true strength isn't about being everywhere at once. It's about understanding where you belong, choosing wisely, and protecting what matters most. Even amid rumors and whispers, he remains a living example that a meaningful life in the spotlight isn't about how long you shine, but how wisely you live. Tom Selleck's journey is a rare story in Hollywood, a tale of fame, sacrifice, and the choices that define a life. From a Detroit kid chasing dreams, to a television icon in Magnum P.I., to a father and husband living on his own terms, he has shown that success is more than awards or recognition. It's about finding balance, holding on to what matters, and staying true to yourself even when the world expects something else. Today, nearly 80, Tom continues to inspire. He reminds us that aging isn't a limitation, it's an opportunity to grow wiser, to choose carefully, and to focus on what brings real joy. Fame didn't change him. Instead, he redefined what it means to live fully in the spotlight without losing yourself. If Tom's story has left you amazed, curious, or inspired, don't go anywhere. There's still so much to uncover about his life and career. Hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment sharing your favorite Tom Selleck moment. Which part of his journey surprised you the most? Stay with us, because we're just getting started, and there's always more behind the man, the legend, and the mustache that captured millions of hearts. So now that you know the truth, What really happened to Tom Selleck isn't a tragedy or a mystery. It's a man's brave choice to live life on his own terms. He found peace in simplicity, happiness in family, and purpose in stillness, something the world often forgets to value. Tom Selleck didn't disappear. He simply stepped into a quieter chapter, one he chose for himself. His story isn't about fading fame, but about lasting grace. What do you think of his decision to leave Hollywood behind? Do you believe more stars should follow his example and live for peace rather than pressure? Tell us in the comments, we'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so you never miss another deep dive into the lives behind the legends. Because sometimes, the truth about fame isn't what it seems, and the real story is waiting just beyond the spotlight, just beyond the spotlight, just beyond the spotlight.